Welcome everyone back to the No Strings Attached podcast. I'm delighted to say today that we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Geoff Brown, who is the chairman of the British 10-Pin Bowling Association. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, Geoff, for joining us today.
No problem.
We're just going to have a little bit of a chat, find out a little bit more about yourself and how you're enjoying the role, and also Geoff the bowler.
No problem.
Cool. So, I guess the thing to start with is, for you, where did it all begin with bowling?
Okay, so it all began for me in Weston-super-Mare.
Okay.
Because clearly I'm not from this neck of the woods with my accent. I come from Somerset, so grew up in Weston-super-Mare. Started at the Dolphin Bowl in Weston.
Yeah, AMF one.
AMF bowl, yeah, great little bowl. Basically, it started on a wet and windy day. I played for an under-14s football team, and our match was cancelled. Everybody was a little bit annoyed because you know what kids are like, you want to play football. It was cancelled because the pitch was waterlogged. Well, at 13 we'd have played in a swimming pool. We didn't worry about waterlogged, but the manager, sort of realising that we were all a little bit annoyed, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll take the whole team bowling. So he literally dragged us all down the bowling alley and we had a game of bowling. Still remember it to this day. I bowled a game, scored 90, first game ever, and that was it. I was hooked. Within a couple of weeks I was in the YBC, so and the rest is history.
Yeah. And you played ever since?
Played ever since.
Almost non-stop.
So it's 55 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so quite a long while. Been in the game a little while.
Yeah. So you've been around, you've seen a lot of change.
A lot of change.
Yeah. What do you think's the biggest change over that time?
Well, I mean, we went from rubber balls to plastic balls to urethane with the old Excalibur came in.
Yep.
Now we've got reactive, and then you've had the lane changes from wood to plastic, and now you've got the change from free fall to strings.
Yeah.
So many changes.
Yeah.
But you know, we've sort of like lived with them and adjusted to them and moved on. You know.
Yeah, we just have to adapt, don't we?
Absolutely,
we're not in charge of that. So
no, we have no control. We love the sport, so we keep playing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I seem to recall, from I'll put in inverted commas, playing days, when I added to the kitties rather than troubled the scorers too much. You used to play for Team Cossacks. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I did. I know that back in the day, as we call it, the big thing was team bowling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, team bowling for me is where it's at because I grew up with team bowling. I played for the Cossacks, so many great players.
Yeah.
You know, Lol Ellis still playing, Keith Hodge still playing, Greg Turvey still playing, Ashman still playing. You know, and then, the likes of Dave Huxtable, no longer playing, but he had the pro shop at Coventry. Great guy, and a super bowler. So many good bowlers. Martin Webster. Previous chairman of the BTBA, and he's still about. He does a lot of lawn bowling now, but he doesn't bowl as such. Alan Kirk, another youngster who came into the team. We even had people like Gary Baker and Kim Johnson guest for us occasionally. Yeah. So we've had a lot of bowlers play, but team bowling was the great thing. We'd go to the Paris Fives. Yep. We'd go to the Golden Ball tournament in Frankfurt. We played in the European Club Championships in Lelystad. Team bowling, sixes tournaments, Derbyshire Shield, the White Rose Sixes. We
used to have the
fantastic
Sussex Sixes.
And there was a sixes we played at Tolworth. All manner of
Sheffield, I think they won.
Sheffield was, I think that was the White Rose.
Was it? Yeah.
But you go back to those days. I mean, in the early days when I first started, as a kid, the great teams. Teams like, you probably won't remember, the Greyhounds or the Harry Stiller's Racers.
I have heard of those.
What teams they were, and we're talking in the 60s now. But then moving on, you'd have teams like Bellevue, Manchester Classics, Richmond Grill,
Richmond Grill,
DBA, the London Classics,
yeah,
Cossacks. We were all in there, and
NWS.
NWS, what a team! Ron Oldfield and co, all the Yorkshire guys, Ronnie and Nev Robinson and Gary Barlow.
Yeah.
And, wow, they were a team.
I remember Team Auterre,
on
the South Coast.
The South Coast guys, yeah. I mean, Richmond Grill were a team as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I see Murray this weekend. You know, I mean, they were stacked full of good players.
Yeah.
But team bowling was where it was at. I mean, we did play singles, obviously, with they were PTBCs, but
and NSTs and things.
NSTs.
That's what I seem to remember about team bowling. Was we had more team tournaments, but even when we were playing the singles events, we travelled as a team and wore team shirts, as opposed to maybe you wear your own shirt now, even though you might travel with friends.
Yeah.
You look along the lanes and you could see where Richmond Grill players were, or NWS, or the Cossacks were, and everyone stood out as a team player rather than.
Yeah, you definitely knew who the teams were, because it's like the Cossacks. We had a system. Martin ran the team. We had a system where the team used to pay for all the entries, and 50% of the winners went back in the kitty.
Yeah.
So we kept building the kitty. But we'd have 6 or 7 players at all the tournaments, as would all the other top teams. And you knew when you got into the final, there'd be like myself and Lol, or Dave and Lol, and Martin and Keith, so that we'd always have players in the finals. So there's always someone to stop and support. And that was the way that the teams rolled. But, all of these teams, I'm sure, have a nucleus of players that are friends for life.
Yeah,
because when you're a team, it's like any team sport, rugby, cricket, football. Once you're a team, you're a team. And that doesn't
disappear overnight, does it?
Never ends.
Something particular.
I mean, Cossacks now, we occasionally have a get together, and we'll go out for a meal as a team, and there'll be 20 odd people there.
That's cool.
With partners. I mean, it's great. We all have to meet in the Midlands because we're from all over the place. But we still do that. So, and we've still got 4 or 5 people still out there, although old, still having a go. No, it's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think we could ever return to those days?
I don't.
Think we should.
I think I'd love to see it. I think you look at this last weekend. We've been to Romford. The noise, the atmosphere. It's not that people don't enjoy it, because they really do.
Yeah.
The team spirit and the atmosphere at Romford yesterday, fantastic.
Oh, it was great.
And the scoring. The previous week, we played the senior county finals, and it was exactly the same. All the teams, everybody behind themselves, supporters, atmosphere, noise. People love it.
Yeah.
But of course, we kind of dominated now by singles and by people. Trying to get ranking points in their various competitions through singles and what have you, and we seem to have moved away from teams. But there's a great desire for people to play teams.
Yes, I think there is.
We've introduced the fives. Part of our initiative to try and encourage teams is we've introduced the fives at Shipley later in the year. So that's in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
And our aim actually is to try and encourage people to play more team tournaments.
Good. Yeah.
We try to make the nationals a bit more interesting, raise the profile a little, to encourage people to enter teams, to play teams, because, you go to a World Championships. I've just come back from Reno. 60 teams, all in a row. Fantastic, all in their shirts. What a spectacle! I know the National Bowling Stadium's a magnificent venue, so you've got a head start
helps,
there.
doesn't it?
But 60 odd teams in a row, all in the same shirts. Everybody, the noise.
For me,
the atmosphere.
I grew up in Bitton Bowl.
I've been to Bitton many times.
You mentioned Richmond Grill, and there was a fives league on a Wednesday night, and it used to be 20 teams. And as a kid, you would go up there, and it was in the days of telescores, Chinograph pencils. And as a kid, as a 13, 14-year-old, you were allowed to go up and score, and you sort of lined up and the team captains would pick, right, you can come and score for us tonight.
Yeah,
and
I'm not having him, he makes mistakes. You can score.
You're under a bit of pressure.
Yeah.
But if you got the Richmond Grill,
yeah.
you had the bragging rights for the week.
Oh, yeah,
and but what that gave you as a kid was an insight into how teams work, and you were sat there in the middle of it all, just listening and watching and seeing how they played. And so I grew up in the team atmosphere, and I always loved team sports. Maybe why I wasn't brilliant as an individual bowler, because I love the team thing, and I think it's a big thing that's missing. And I wonder whether the reason, there's fewer tournaments, but also there's obviously fewer leagues that are 4s and 5s. Do you think that might be a big reason why we've sort of moved away from?
I think so, yeah. I think league bowling in itself, there's been a reduction in sanctioned leagues, in league bowlers, and I think to fill leagues, it's easier to go to 4s than to trios than to doubles.
Yeah.
So rather than have like 8 teams of 5, you're probably better off having 12 teams of 4 or
whatever
12 teams of
yeah.
trios, just to make the league more enjoyable. And I think that's basically is more to do with the decline in numbers, because like you say, I can remember every single centre having 5-man league, and it was always the highlight of the week.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to play in the 5-man league.
Yeah.
When I was about 14, I used to go to the bowl and watch the 5-man, much the same as you would have done. And I used to get a clip round the ear from my dad every week because I had to be in at a certain time of night. But the second game didn't finish because it was 3 games.
Yeah.
I'd get to watch 2 games, and then I'd have to run all the way home. And I still got a clip round the ear because I was always late home. Because I was past my curfew every night that the 5-man was on, because I had my favourite team, Schlitz All-Stars. I used to watch them every single game, write down the scores, had all my favourite players, and it was a highlight of the week.
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough to play in that league, but I wanted to.
No. You used to have a standard to get into it as well.
Yeah, you didn't get into a team if you weren't a good bowler.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting. I just think it's interesting how it goes, because everything is focused on singles, it seems. And, very rarely. So it's great that BTBA are doing a 5s again. I remember the Coca-Cola 5s in the recent times, or say recent, maybe 20 years ago now. But having something that maybe could build into a similar type of annual event might be a
we did
really
have an idea
thing
to try and sort of revive the Coca-Cola 5s, but of course this is our first step, the first year to put in the 5s, and then obviously from then on we could perhaps approach Coca-Cola and say, look, historically we're playing the 5s, you're not sponsoring it, but people are still going to call it the Coca-Cola 5s, that's our thinking anyway.
Do you know what the entry levels are at? Are they good?
I think that it's 2-day event, 12 teams on each day.
And I think 29th and 30th of November.
Yeah, I think he's over half full at the moment.
Okay.
You generally get quite a lot of entries quite late because people hold on, sort their teams out and put them in. The last week you get a little bit of a flurry. And I think last time I spoke to him he had 13 teams. So he's well on the way.
Yeah. So a few more might be good.
A few more would be great. I think it'll be a good event.
Yeah.
I think it's enjoyable. We put a rule in that every team has to have at least one lady bowler in.
Yeah, that's good.
That's just to mix things up a bit and to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event. I've got my team all sorted, my entries in.
Who are you playing with?
I'm playing with Sally Wilson's our lady.
Yeah.
Sally's great.
Yeah.
She'll bring some oomph to the team, I'll tell you. And then we've got Gary Baker, Mark Wills, and Paul Morris.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So we tend to enter the nationals, the senior nationals, as a group.
Yeah.
So we've got sort of a basic group. Kim and Diane are involved, but they're in America, so they couldn't play. So we got a basic core that we enter all the tournaments. We enter the Shipley 4s, because that's a great tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what an enjoyable weekend for a team to play.
Yeah, it's really good. Multi
singles,
doubles, trios,
and such fun as well. And Lee does a great job.
Yeah.
and it's just a fun thing to be. And you're there as a team. You eat out in the evening. You just have a great time. You know,
goes back to what
more people should play.
Yeah,
for
sure. Yeah.
So that's it.
No, that's cool. I agree with you, man. So, one small thing. Just, has there been any particular person who's had any influence over you in your bowling life?
The funny thing is that when I look back, I never actually got any coaching from anybody. I do remember one guy once sort of saying to me, if you stand here, walk straight and bowl up second arrow and hook the ball, you'll do all right. And that was about it. But people that I admired or looked at and wanted to sort of be as good as, I used to watch Eric Butcher bowl, and he was captain of England. And
I remember the name.
He lived in Bristol, but he bowled in London and he bowled in Western. And that he was part of the team I used to go and watch him bowl, and I used to watch him and think, I want to be captain of England one day. I want to be like him. And it's a really nice guy, superb bowler. I mean, I admire Geoff Buck. Technically, what a great bowler, technician. Brian Michael.
Yeah, when the Blue Hammer was around, he was an Excalibur.
Yeah, and these are guys that you sort of looked up to and admired. Lots of nice people that I've bowled with or against over the years that I've sort of admired, probably influenced my game just by watching them, rather than them talking to me or trying to help me.
That's cool. Right, so let's move on to the BTBA.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've been in the role, I believe, since the summer of 2024.
Yeah, just over a year now.
Just over a year. Yeah. So, a couple of things. One, why did you take it? What was your reasons behind that? And sort of, how's it going? How are you finding it?
Well, the reason I'll give you the reason I took the role is because Kim and Hadley are obviously in charge of Team England.
Yeah.
And heavily involved in the BTBA. Lisa wishing to take a step backwards for personal reasons.
Yeah.
And nobody else put the hand up. And so basically, my arm was twisted behind my back by Kim and Hadley and said, come on, you're retired, you've got plenty of time on your hands, you can do this. And I thought about it, talked to the missus, and we said, I said to somebody once, I said, do you know anybody who's ever taken on a job in their life without knowing what the job is? And everybody says, no. And I says, no, I did. I took on the BTBA role. I didn't have a clue what it was. All I knew was that...
There's no job description, is there?
There's no job description. Very little information from people telling me what the chairman does or was expected to do.
Yeah.
But a position that needed filling, and I just said, I guess I'll do it, And that was basically it. I was gently persuaded. Yeah.
With just one arm up the back.
Yeah. How's it going? Interesting. Once it takes quite a while before you kind of get to realise that there's so many little things, little groups, committees, actions, and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And in the modern world with things like licenses, safeguarding and things like that go on in the background that nobody sees.
Yep.
But it's certainly been kept me busy.
Mm-hmm.
You're always doing something because there's always meetings to arrange and people to talk to and questions coming in. So plenty to do, keeps you busy. The fun bits, I love going to the counties.
Yeah.
I love going to watch the juniors at the end of year, and because I like bowling, it's no problem for me to go watch people bowl. I'll stand there all day watching bowling. I love it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the counties. I'm always amazed at the quality, the standard of bowling. The juniors the same. Amazing. So much talent in this country. Amazing. And I love it. Yeah, so I get the fun bits.
Yeah.
That's the fun bits.
Yeah.
There's some bits and pieces that go on in the background and rather not be involved in, but you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
But it certainly kept me busy. am I doing a good job? I haven't got a clue. I'm just sort of go from day to day, try to help everybody and do everything. Well, it works or it doesn't, you know.
You say, are you doing a good job? I think you are. And, and I didn't want to sound patronising, but in the sense that people know you're out there. I don't want to sound like people didn't know Lisa was going to things, but I think it was more publicised now, and you've done some reports and you've put yourself out there, and people are seeing you out and about, and I think that's really good. I think people are seeing. For me, part of the chairperson role of the BTBA is as much about being a figurehead. And someone who, because I think traditionally we've always looked at the person who's the chair as the person who's running the organisation almost, and I don't know if that's really what that role should be, but I think it's how it's been perceived or how it's sort of ended up being. And so when you had Lisa and you had Ron and you had Pat right before, and it tends to be the person who's the figurehead, a person that people think first about. And so I think it's nice that you're out and about and you're doing things. You're not behind a desk or behind a screen and just sending out messages. I think you're out there and people are seeing you, and I think it's a good thing, mate.
I like to think that I know a lot of people in bowling, and I'm getting to know a lot more. I like to think that people can approach me. Yeah. And who likes criticism? Nobody.
Nobody really.
And I'm the same. I don't like criticism, but I accept it. Yeah. And people shouldn't be afraid to say, Geoff, we don't think this is right, don't think that's right. And I'll try to give an honest response, Yeah. So people shouldn't be afraid to talk to me. And most people aren't. Most people will talk to me. I think I get on pretty well with most people. Yeah. I go to the proprietors' meetings. And to be honest, I sit and listen to the proprietors. I understand they've got businesses to run and that sort of thing. I get on very well with the proprietors. Yeah,
that's good.
And I get on pretty well with most people, I think. Yeah. My wife keeps telling me, that I'm chairman of the BTBA, I should be more sensible. And I say, it's not going to happen.
Can't really change yourself at this time of life.
That's a bit late for me to start trying to be sensible. I got to be me. Yeah. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to, just try to stay the same. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm a bowler. I love bowling. I want to bowl. You know. Cool. You never stop me doing that.
No, I bet. Right, one or two little questions may make you think a little bit. So how do you see the game going over the next sort of maybe 3 to 5 years, and what do you think might be the biggest challenge over that period of time for the BTBA particularly? Not necessarily the game, but for us as an organisation and English bowling.
I think the main challenge for us is membership levels. Yeah. Because obviously over the past probably 20 years, it's been a slow decline. The amount of sanctioned leagues we have has reduced, the amount of members is reduced, and I think when I took the role a year ago, there were quite a few people said, Geoff, you do know that you're taking over an organisation that's dying, and I said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but you're probably right. So the main challenge actually is to, and it's not just myself, it's the whole team, because everybody works really hard. Yeah. But the main challenge for the team is to try and stabilise the ship, and then quietly turn it round. And you know what it's like with a tanker going that way. It's one thing to slow it down, it's another thing to turn it round. So for us, it's to stabilise it and then try and quietly increase the membership and try and build up to a sensible level. And of course, the more members we got, the more revenue we generate, and the more we can do then to put back into bowling. I think that's the main challenge as far as the BTBA is concerned, and actually I think we're reasonably stable now. Yeah.
So we've got a new. So Basher's taken on Daniel Brown.
Basher's great, isn't he?
It's brilliant. So he's taken on the membership services director role. He told me it was interim, but perhaps it will be for whatever. Yeah. But whatever it turns out to be, do you as the organisation, is there a plan for the next couple of years, or are we still formulating that sort of thing?
I mean, for me, the plan is to get a full committee for starters, because we still haven't got business development. Bash is great. I mean, his enthusiasm, he's as mad as a hatter, but he's a great guy, and he's very, very sharp.
Yes.
You know, behind that stupid persona is a very clever guy.
Very clever guy.
And he's thrown himself into it, and I couldn't be happier to have him on board.
Yeah.
And I think he will make a difference.
I think he's one of the best people we could have in that sort of position.
Absolutely.
To be
and
honest,
you know, as far as building the membership goes and turning it round, he's like a single man army. You know, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, I'm glad he's on board, because he's making things happen already. So I think that we have plans to try and improve the BTBA's general outward persona.
Yeah.
You know, we've been working on branding on the website and things like that. We have to have certain values that we need to stick to, and overall we're quietly working that way. I do get a little frustrated sometimes because things happen so slowly, you know, and I think that's just when you have any committees, you know, especially when you've got committees of volunteers, just being able to get everybody together at any one time takes time. Then you make decisions, then you vote, then you move on.
I think, like you say, that's the nature of a volunteer workforce. Is, you know, when I've been involved in the past, it is so slow.
Yeah, and
really.
Everybody's working hard. A lot of people have jobs to do. You know, they've got commitments, other commitments on them. It's very hard to press people to get stuff done, but you try to gently.
Of course.
And we are moving forward. And I think within the next year will probably be quite good, because there'll be quite a few things happening over the next year. And with Basher on board, I think there'll probably be a few more things, because he's like a whirlwind.
Is there anything you can share with us today?
Well, with the website, clearly, I'd like to think that within probably 2 or 3 months we'll have the new website, website up and running if we can. So on the tournament front, I mean, Paul Loberman's doing a great job.
The tournament hub is a really good thing.
The tournament hub's good, and the averages and everything that he's.
Do you know when that's likely to launch with all those scores?
I think
he's got a complete record of.
He put a post up this week saying that if people want it's on a certain website. It's available. If you click on so and so, you can go and have a look. So I think he's making it available now.
Okay.
And you know, ever increasing the profile of the nationals. There's county think tanks going on. There's all quite a lot of things happening. I mean, the charity move to charity status.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
Is a big one. I mean, and you would ask the reason, and the driving force behind that would be our treasurer Kevin Rose, and most of the reasoning behind it is to do with finance. And that's not to say that it's finance to give us more money, but we are at the moment, we're a non-for-profit organisation. Well, that means that at the end of the year you can't make a profit, and if you do, you fall foul of the tax man and one thing and another. And the way that bowling in general goes is you get years where you have lots of tournaments like Worlds and Europeans and other tournaments, and then you get years where you don't have. Well, it becomes very hard to budget, because you might say, well, this year we haven't got too many international tournaments to sort out, but next year we've got 3 or 4. So ideally we'd like to say, well, over the 2 years we estimate that our income will be X, and that we'll budget some of it for next year. But you can't do that, because you can't set aside this year for next year.
No.
So that's the nature of the organisation. If you have charity status, you're in a better position, because that would allow you to actually budget over a longer period. So you'd be able to even out the budget, and financially you'd roll on a much smoother less risk to the organisation of falling foul of the taxman.
Cool.
So make Kevin's job a lot easier.
Yeah.
And also there are potential financial benefits that we could
grants
perhaps
and
realise. Possible grants, possible sponsorship.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, there's a number of benefits. We looked at it as a committee, as an organisation. Kevin made a proposal. We've spoken to the people that deal with it in London.
Yeah.
And you know, everything for us looks to be a good fit. So
cool.
that hopefully within the next year that'll come in as well.
Okay. Cool.
So quite a few changes within the organisation. Obviously, charity status is a big one, and then our social media output. We want to try and make it a bit younger. You know, we've got younger people wanting to get involved.
Okay.
So
good.
For me, I'd like to have some younger people involved with the social media aspect because they're so good at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's no good asking me to post stuff online and do stuff. I don't even know what button to press. You know, so I'd like to get some younger guys in with fresh ideas, and they can sort of take that on board and make us more modern, more up to date.
Yeah.
A website that's easier to navigate is more 21st century. You know, and that it's all on the go.
Yeah.
It all takes time, but hopefully within the next 12 months. That'll all come through, so fingers crossed.
That's brilliant. Is there sort of any particular area I think we need to focus on? So we talked about, I don't want to sort of rewind, but when it comes to building membership, is there, for me, I don't know if this is, you know, misinformed, but it feels to me like the biggest area we could aim for is effectively adults. It feels like from the outside that the juniors section is, you know, from a grassroots YBC tournament scene, is functioning really quite well. So I think Stephen Toop is doing, and Jill and Brian and other people, Tracy, are doing some really good things with that.
Agreed,
and it feels like that's growing.
Yeah.
You know, I think with the YBCs, we're always dependent upon the centres being able to host them at the right times and things like that. The seniors sort of look after themselves in a sense, because it's people who've been bowling for many, many years. And I think it's the bit in the middle for me that feels, you know, do you feel like, is it, I guess what I'm getting to is it really the league scene for adults that maybe is the bit where, because how do you get a member? You get members from a league first. So if we don't have enough adult leagues, perhaps we don't have enough members overall. Is that maybe where the biggest growth could be, and is that something that we've thought about, or is there any plans on that?
We've thought about it a lot actually, and I think you're right. For me, the junior scene is great, although, you know, if you know, going back a few years, there are less YBCs, but the ones that are still running are doing well. Yeah, you know. The great thing about the junior scene is Stephen and his team do such a great job that I barely have to get involved other than turning up and looking good. You know, which for me is great. I went to the Triple Crown, I went to the end of season, thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't have to do anything, just have a coffee, enjoy the bowling, give out a few trophies, you know, and what great, you know. So they do a fantastic job. Transitioning the older juniors into league has always been a problem, because you always get some fallout at that point. So I don't really know the answer to that. As you said, the seniors is ever growing, because, you know, every year we've got more seniors coming in, and the senior scene's quite good, as you say, pretty much takes care of itself. The bit in the middle, which you could ideally fill and used to be full, is there's still plenty of people in there, but a lot of them play unsanctioned. So although they're there, so, you know, if you went round all the leagues and counted the numbers, it's quite healthy. What you have is you have a great deal of unsanctioned leagues, and we always have the argument, oh, what do the BTBA do for us? Well, you know, you're bowling a league, so you're bowling a sport in a sports league that you want to consider yourself a sport, but you don't want to be affiliated to the people who look after the sport, the guardians of the sport, which is us. So we're the guardians of the rules, the affiliation to the European and the World Federations. And yes, a lot of people say, oh, it's all about the elite bowlers, but it isn't. I mean, people tend to focus on elite bowlers, but basically we safeguard the whole membership. So everybody wants to run a league and they want to use the BTBA rules, because how do they run their league? Do they allow people to turn up with a £20 bowling ball? No, they don't. Do they want to play on a lane that's 37 feet long? No, they don't. They want to play as a sport, but then they say, oh, we're not getting anything out of it. But we are actually guardians of the sport. We go to the centres, we check that the lanes are fair and playable. We reside over disputes. We make sure that the rules are kept up to date, because as you know, every year, world bowling, European bowling, they tinker with the rules. So the rules are constantly being changed. Big one at the moment, the argument over urethane bowling balls. So, that's going to force changes. So, I look at bowling and I look at bowlers in general, and we have a great core of bowlers, but we have a number of bowlers that have been members, but that say, oh, I don't get anything out of it, but they've had 20 or 30 years of league bowling, at centres that give them a good service, give them a good condition, and so on and so forth. It's all part of the overall maintaining the values of the sport and keeping it a sport.
So, I mean, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of people who have been members before that now aren't, but still play. And there's probably plenty of people who've never been a member that are playing in organised leagues. And that's been around forever, for as long as I can recall. Even when membership were a lot higher, there were still unsanctioned leagues and things. What is the solution? Is there actually a solution?
I'd like, if you know it, you can tell me. I mean, it's been a discussion point. You can't force people to accept their league to be sanctioned or to become members. You can only encourage them to do so. And how do you encourage them? You have to sort of be able to say to people, look, you need to realise that without a governing body and without the support from the membership, you don't have a sport. You might as well be playing table skittles. You've got a pub game, Yes, there's world organisations, there's European organisations, every country has their own organisations. But I have 2 granddaughters that have been going to gymnastics. They pay 2 memberships before they're even allowed to go in the building, and that comes anywhere between £80 and £100 a year. And they pay it because
that's what you do.
Cost of being in that organisation and taking part in that sport. And it's a sport.
I think the bit that's always maybe missed or left to the last moment is, I think we're reliant upon the proprietors. And you mentioned you go to the meetings. For me, if the proprietors were on board with us as the BTBA, let's say, and were happy to do or enforce that every league in their centres were sanctioned, then it becomes enforceable, surely.
Yes.
But because that isn't in place, it becomes it is what it is, because we don't have that authority as such. Is that a solution? Is that maybe the missing piece?
Well,
that we get them.
I know that over the years, the BTBA and the proprietors have had varying relationships. And I think that from my experience, which isn't great, the relationship had declined quite a lot. to the point where the proprietors see themselves giving but not getting.
Yeah.
And of course, over a long period of time, that the relationship has declined. I sit and listen to the proprietors, and they're not anti-BTBA, they're not anti-sport, but they are pro-business.
Yes.
And so I sit and listen to their plans for their businesses. We have, I know Martin did, and I certainly have sit and listened to them and talked to them. I understand their pressures that they're under. They are reluctant to tell their customers what they have to do.
Okay.
And, they see that as detrimental to their business.
Yeah.
We have tried to enlist the help of the proprietors, and I'm sure that if we come up with some sensible scheme that doesn't cause them a problem, they'd be more than willing to help.
Yeah. Have we looked at, because I'm aware that Shipley Bowl have the club membership, which means that every league in their centre, I think it's a £5 or something that they pay per person, and so automatically everyone in that centre who plays a league is a club or an associate member of the BTBA, which means that all the leagues in the centre are sanctioned effectively. But if they want to go and play elsewhere, then they need a full membership or a tournament membership or whatever. But within the centre, and then they're a member, and then they get all the sort of the benefits. Is that something that's been looked at to roll out to every centre?
It's a great system, but what you have to understand is that you've got Jeff Taylor, Shipley, and you've got Kim and Diane at Stroud, and as independents and bowlers, they would be open to those ideas. If you went to the bigger chains, they now have to administer that, and they have to get their staff to administer it, and it becomes difficult then to persuade them. Also, quite a lot of the chains, they give their managers quite a lot of leeway to run the centre how they want to run the centre.
Yeah.
So, you could possibly get individual managers that are interested in bowling to come on board, but very difficult to get a lot of centres to do that. But it is a great model.
Yeah.
I think you'll find that Basher's got plans to try and include more general members of the public as members.
Cool.
So that's something he'll be rolling out shortly. He's working on it.
You got 50p or a pound off everyone who walks into a bowling centre.
I think that that would be great, but even if you get nothing but their name as a member, if you have a large membership base, you're in a much better position to go to people and say, look, maybe we can get a grant from the Sports Council if we're over a certain amount of members. And things like that. So this is the angle that Basher's working on at the moment. I know he's already done a lot of work on it. So I think getting the membership up is important. I think appealing to leagues to understand that actually by being members they're supporting the sport. A league membership, £15. What can I do for £15? I can get a couple of coffees at Costa's maybe,
It's nothing really, is it?
So it's not as though it's expensive, but it's the mindset of the older bowlers that have, a lot of the older bowlers that have dropped out as members because they don't see a benefit. But of course, they have been receiving the benefit because they're bowling in a sport, not in a coffee morning, or a social get-together. Attracting members into that group, I think there are quite a lot of bowlers, and this goes unseen, quite a lot of bowlers will notice groups of people that turn up at a bowling centre week on week. And you do get guys that will approach people and say, look, I see you come every week, you seem to enjoy it, and have you thought of joining a league? And that happens. I know it does. If we perhaps need some initiative where we could perhaps put flyers into centres to say, have you considered joining a league? Obviously that'll only work in the centres that run leagues. But that's the sort of thing we could and probably should be doing.
Maybe some pop-up banners.
And I think Ash is already on the case. You know, like I said, he's like a whirlwind.
Yeah, once he gets
over the next 6 months,
something in his head, he's off.
Quite a lot of things starting to happen to try and encourage people into that group.
Yeah, that's cool. So I think it's been lovely to talk to you, Geoff. I really appreciate your time. I think we're going to wrap it up there.
Okay.
But unless there's anything else you'd love to add in.
No, I think I've done enough talking for the day.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Geoff.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, it's free of charge. Press that button, like us, share us, talk about it. Thank you very much.